Fumi, Loke, oh, Baba Adeleke, international something. It's a big situation. Them back our money, oh, take it to other nation. Invest for your country, oh, make it a better place. Spend the money for your country, oh, make it a better place. Forget about the big things, oh, so make we talk about the small things, oh. Aye, let you. Forget about the big things, oh, so make we talk about the small things, oh yeah. Aye, let you. Rara, oh, yeah. Agbada, Jambada, Ulabada, Rara, oh, Rara, oh, yeah. Agbada, Jambada, Ulabada, I go Obodo Ibo, I go the hurry to come back. And when I come back, I go the hurry to go back. I don't get to charge you.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the David Adodo Show on African Voices Radio. This evening, we have this usual gang with us. I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves, starting with, of course, the lady in the house first.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I hope we all have a very beautiful week despite this pandemic. And we thank God that has been so faithful to us. Well, my name is Desola Komolafe-Egbeyemi. Welcome to David Adodo Show on 106.1 Praise.
The gentleman should go ahead and introduce himself as well, because
hello, listeners. Yes, thank you so very much, Mr. Tunde. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I want to welcome all of us to the African Voices Radio on Praise 106.1 FM. My name is King Dr. Francis Okobi, and it's always a pleasure to be here with us, with the rest of the gang, like you mentioned. So you're welcome, and I'm looking forward to an exciting show today.
Edward Okobi, it's my name. That's my elder brother. It's always a pleasure being here. I've enjoyed this COVID-19 coverage, and I will continue to be with you. Hopefully, it won't last too long, and we go back to what we know how to do best. But right now, we're talking COVID-19 on radio.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here today. My name is Charles Subiakwa. I'm glad to be among all the other co-hosts. So far, so good. I think we're making it day by day. Like we said in the beginning of this show, we're all going to go through all this. I'm glad to be here today, and thanks for listening to African Voices Radio.
So for today, we don't have a regular host in-house. I'll be hosting today's show. I have not mentioned my name. My name is Tunde Phillips. I'm usually here as a co-host. We have a surprise for everybody on the show today. There is a reason why our usual host is not here this evening. But as the program goes on, we'll let you all know why he's not here. So in the meantime, Dr. Francis, do you have any new information you would like to pass on to our listeners concerning this COVID-19 that's going on?
Well, we've been following the news ardently, and the news has been trending. I don't know if I would say that it's good news. I think it's too early to say. We're looking at the numbers. Numbers have been increasing, but some states here in the United States have been reporting like a decline in hospitalization. So that is somewhat a good thing. The numbers are still high, but the number of those that are being hospitalized is on a decline, slight decline. And also the numbers that are being discharged have also started to increase. New York State specifically is one of the states that was really hit hard. So we've been following the news in New York State. They also, from this part of the world, the president has been, and his cabinet are thinking of reopening the economy. They are trying to work out the modalities and the plans for that, which states will be open. And again, the autonomy to open that it doesn't entirely lie with the president of the United States. Of course, we understand how the U.S. system runs. So the states, governors and their government also has a role to play on that. So generally, the numbers are beginning to, we're hoping that again, things are still new. We don't know where this is taking us, but we're hoping that in the next few months, perhaps numbers would have calmed down enough for the economy to go back to what it is. Obviously, people are suffering a lot. The economy is taking a hit, and yeah, that's where we are. That's where we are for now.
Yeah, so I would like to ask the Queen, what do you think about this Florida governor opening up the beaches for people to go to the beach? I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to keep 6 feet apart while you're at the beach.
I was taken aback when I saw that this morning and seeing the number of people at the beach. They were so happy, jumping here and there. I started thinking in my head that, what is going on here? Does that mean that people don't understand this pandemic? No matter what, even if the governor opens the beach, even the state, I expected that people should sit back and think very well before they take any step. Because the doctors are pleading every day, the health workers are pleading every day that please stay home. When people don't stay home, it's very, very easy for this virus to go from one person to the other. And people take it back home, they take it back to their family, their friends see this thing. It's like we can't even say the end of this thing. I can't say it's a shame, but it's so scary. It is scary. The number of people now, they said they're gonna open the beach from 7 a.m. maybe till 12 p.m. Then they open it at 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. So meaning that for a whole day, you go home to go and rest, and you come back again to the beach. I don't know. Maybe it makes sense anyway. I might be wrong, but from my own perspective, I don't think it's the right and wise decision.
Doctor, you think it's not the wise decision for us to go to the beach? I mean, we've been cooped up all this time in the house. We should get some time to relax, don't you think?
I'm not really sure how to respond to that. Of course, the concerns are there, but Dr. D, do you want to speak on this?
So the thing is, man is a very unique being. What we've been praying for, I remember before I started my busy life as a medical doctor, I usually want to go to vacation and travel around and be free. But now they're giving me freedom to just travel around and go to vacation, and I'm complaining. so life is dynamic. We human beings want to be active. You can't really blame them. We're not seeing the end to the whole thing. There's a lot of theories going on. People are bored. People are not getting their salaries, especially in Africa, for example. I don't want to talk about US because I focus back in Africa. People are bored. People are hungry. People don't have jobs to do. The indoors, the environment is not as cozy as where we are. People are just stuffed up in one place. You expect rebellion. It's like being in house arrest. So it's a normal reaction from people. But what we're trying to do in this radio show and all around, trying to sensitize people and educate people, this thing will soon be over. One of the good news that came out last week, well, it's not like it's a new news that the virus is mutating. So the virus is mutating means that in cell replication in medicine, as the cells are forming new cells, as one virus is forming other viruses, it's dividing in a very rapid manner. Now, as it's dividing, as it's replicating, the DNA machineries are reading and building new cells. Now, those DNA machineries are the proofreading codons. They may misread a particular section. So when they misread a particular, let's say it's supposed to be ABC, produce a virus, ABC, produce a virus, ABC, produce a virus. So it's now ABD, a new virus, ABD, a new virus, right? So it has skipped C. That's what they call mutation. It skips a particular codon, right? And it happens when a cell is replicating so fast. And these viruses are replicating so fast. You see how fast they are moving all around the world. So we're hoping that this replication will eventually move it away from the very dangerous strain, the very dangerous, the virulent strain, to a more supple one. It could also replicate to a more higher dangerous. Nobody can actually really tell. In fact, it's one of the challenges that that scientists are having as they're trying to figure out what we're going to do about the vaccines that they're going to produce. Although the vaccines are targeting the surface protein. So on the body of the virus, there's a protein that projects out. That's the surface protein. That's where the vaccines are targeted. But the body of the virus itself may be mutated. It may mutate to something that will be less virulent, which is a good news to everybody. So good news is that the virus is changing as they say, as it's moving from Wuhan to Italy to everywhere, as it's migrating. It's now left for individual countries to read the strain or what strain do we have in Nigeria, what strain do we have in South Africa, what strain do we have in Maryland, to see. You could actually predict it where it's going to. It could get more fierce and more virulent. It could also get very subtle, and it eventually wipe away. That is how so many outbreaks that happened in the past. That's actually what happened, and eventually they waved away. They mutated to something less virulent, and they just vanished like that, and they were not pathogenic anymore. So we hope it gets to that. We just hope it gets to that.
So, Doctor, what I understand from what you're saying is that this virus is going by, is acting. They say when you are in Rome, you act like the Romans. So this virus is acting like every place where it goes to. It's taking up.
Because what actually happens is that for the body to duplicate this virus, for the virus to duplicate itself, it requires our own genetic material, our own way of replicating ourselves. We are the hosts, right? Or whatever host that it goes to. So my genetic DNA determines what I read on the virus and what the virus eventually becomes. Well, what I'm saying now is a very complex cascade. I'm just trying to make it very simple so that people on the radio can understand what I'm saying. Bottom line,
is why everybody has different symptoms, not one particular symptoms with everybody. Everybody's symptoms is different.
Yeah, that could explain it reasonably. So hopefully, it may just mutate and eventually just go away. It may.
So, Brother Charles.
Yeah.
Brother Charles, I see you're itching to come in. Go ahead, Brother Charles.
No, really, I'm very, very interested in what the doctor is saying. You see, one thing is, I don't know, there's one of our learned gentlemen, Einstein, I think something he said is, if you can't explain something simple, that means you did not understand it. So I'm trying to understand this because, my simple way of this, I don't know, doctor, if I'm right.
It's okay.
Whatever it is in China when he left, is that a simple way to say whatever it is now in China when he left, assuming we all say that's where it started. As it travels along, we're hoping that it gets lesser strong or it gets stronger, right? Is that what
So we're hoping that the genetic makeup changes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
As it travels.
As it travels. Yeah, not just travels to other countries. As it regenerates itself, as it's multiplying. Remember, one virus comes into me and will replicate to millions of viruses within a very short time, probably 2 weeks, 7 days, depending on the incubation period, right? So as it's manufacturing itself into different small virons, different pieces, the DNA makeup is changing.
Okay.
Yeah. And the DNA makeup eventually determines what the virus is. And what the virus is determines how the virus acts on the human body. And how the virus acts on the human body determines what disease I come with. That is why there's so many viruses that actually don't cause diseases, because they're not pathogenic. They don't have the ability to cause disease. They just come into me and they go, right? Okay. So we're hoping that this one, as it's changing, as it's manufacturing itself, replicating itself, it's going to come to a stage where it has a genetic component that it will not be able to cause a disease anymore.
So
and it's just wave away. Yeah.
Doc,
let me just add something to you.
Okay.
To what you just said. Generally speaking, can you hear me?
Any state that is open now, people are free to go out.
No. I wouldn't say that. So the national recommendation remains a national recommendation until we get to a stage where we see that this virus is not pathogenic, or we have a disease, or we have a cure. these are the two things that people are projecting, right? Then it's not safe to go out, because right now the people that are watching these viruses, or the virologists, or whatever, the Center of Disease Control of each country, have not actually declared that this virus is free of causing, illnesses all around. So we still keep to ourselves, and we still keep doing what we're doing. I know it's hard for everybody. It's really very hard. But hey, what can I say?
I'd rather stay home today and live tomorrow than go out today and not live tomorrow. I mean, this is a choice. This is a choice you have to make. But the thing is, personally, I'm glad we always have a doctor, because we keep saying, for us, we are not medical practitioners or anything. But the common sense will tell you that as a matter of time, these intellectuals, these doctors, scientists, and biologists, they will come up with something that will definitely, deal with the situation. But the thing is, for how long? That's what we don't know. Right. As far as I'm concerned, no, it's a matter of time. And looking at the way things are going, like what the doctor said before, the numbers are, don't forget, there's still a lot of cases. Those people that are tested cases, at some point, it's either they get released or something, something serious happened out of that. It's still a high number, The only thing is, yes, there are not that many as you used. There's not that many jumping into the well right now, like when it started. If you look at the numbers today, globally, it's over 2.2 million people, cases, and in United States right now, we're standing around 723 cases. It's not, mind you, those 723 cases tested positive, I believe. That's what it is, right? Is that what it is? So, and out of that number, it's only 62,000 has gone home. And 37,000 or 38,000, 37.8 already, no longer here. So when you take those two numbers, it's not even up to 100,000. Right. The people that passed away and the people that went home. So you still have about 600 and something thousand people that still have this disease. And we don't know where they're going, whether they're going home. We don't know. So this is still serious. Personally, myself, it's not about what somebody says, whether it's free out there. I have to make that judgment myself. These people that are jumping out there in the water or whatever, I don't know. They know what they have that I don't know. So personally, I'm not jumping in no water, man, anytime soon. Personal opinion. My personal.
You rather stay safe, right?
Oh, please. And then jump in the water come August. I don't want to be in the hospital come August. So
hopefully by August, everything would have been taken care of.
Yeah, I want to be out there jumping in the water.
We hoping and praying.
Yes, I want us to take a reference back to Africa. In Nigeria, the chief of staff passed away, and I believe it's from this COVID-19. It's not that the life of any other person that passed away is not important, but when you have somebody that is a government top official pass away, it's like a big deal for everybody. So I do not know, Mr. Charles, if you have the figures for what the situation is right now in Nigeria and especially, the rest of Africa.
Again, for Nigeria, like you just said about what happened recently, as a matter of fact, yesterday, only thing about it, what makes this like a special case, a lot of people have been dying out of this case, but this is, if you look, I don't know what happened in China, I can't remember, maybe it was some of you may, or here in America, we have not had such person in a high rank, in a high position, in a high position that already passed away due to this pandemic. I think Bakari is the first person. And unfortunately, a lot of people are mourning him, but Nigerians, don't forget, this is one of the top official government, and he's been there for so many years. This is the second time they are serving. And some people are feeling that, personally, their personal opinion, that the man didn't do right to them when he was when he was alive. And a lot of people are not really, sympathizing with the government. The whole government is very sympathetic about what happened, But a lot of Nigerians, it's a sad thing when you can get about 80% of the people saying, I don't really care what happened to him, whether he deserved it or not. I mean, this is a way of showing their frustration with the government, more or less. I mean,
Yes.
that's the way that I see it. And it's not good for those in power. They really have to rethink. They really have to rethink. Right now, Nigeria is about over 400 people that are tested. That are tested positive. Yes, and then they are releasing a lot of people also. Nigeria is doing good. On average of maybe 45% of people have gone home out of the tested. Yes, you're looking at about 483. About 153 have gone home.
Oh, that's a good
159 are gone home. And then 17%, I think they have 17 people already, actually didn't make it. This is as yesterday, including the man himself.
So can we go back and see, this might probably take a reference from what the doctor said. So maybe we don't have the dangerous strain in Nigeria.
It's no. I didn't want to put that. I didn't want to put Doc in that spot. That's why I was saying maybe as it travels,
Yeah.
When it came down to Nigeria, the African countries, he kind of loses that mutation he was talking about. I don't know. I mean, he knows. I'm not going to get into that. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, the thing is, there are a lot of factors that could have made the numbers to be low in Africa. The testing capacity. What is the testing capacity? We've not been able to ascertain the testing capacity. How many people are they testing? The US are testing over 1 million people a day. You see the disparity. So you're bound to get more people to test positive. If your sample size is more, then your sensitivity or positive predictive value will increase, right? Same thing. But if your sample size is low, your positive predictive value or sensitivity will also decrease. It's directly correlational. So if you're testing 1,000 people in 1 month in Africa, you probably get a very lower number of positives. Yeah. But the second argument will say, but people are not dying. Because if people are dying, you don't need a test to say, people are just falling down everywhere and dying. Well, you know that Africa has a very low reportage in the indices. Low, people don't report things. My uncle dies, who's going to report it? Report it to who? You get what I mean? People don't report things, and the statistics or what they call data analysis is very poor. It's still growing. I wouldn't say the word poor, but it's still growing. So these could account for it. But there could also be other inherent factors that, like we've discussed. It could be genetic, it could be environment, it could be one thing or another that is not yet been discovered that has made the number of positive cases in Africa to be low. Could also be those multiplicity of factors, that they do over there. So who knows?
Yeah, but Doc, there's something he said about testing. I mean, most African countries, including Nigeria, like you said, their reporting system and all this, okay, it's not really, it's not in a top notch, when compared in other countries. But as far as this issue is concerned, as far as this pandemic of COVID-19, I think they're doing very well. I'll give you an example for that. If you can recall, this last Saturday on this show, there was this news about one of Anambra guy that they locally, because of he went to the hospital 4 days, nothing is changing temperature, they have to move him. They have to move him to the test, to the isolation center so they can be tested. Meanwhile, in the process of doing that, they already declared him. They declared him infected, and once it was done, the next thing they did was to quarantine the whole village and all that. And guess what? By the time the CDC, NCDC came in and did their testing, it turns out to be negative. So I think what I'm trying to say here is the number coming out of NCDC in Nigeria. I mean, you use a sample number. It's just like what they do here in this country. NBC will sit somewhere and call 1,000 people that are registered to vote. Out of that 1,000, okay? they use it and say, oh, this is what that. I mean, so with that little number that NCDC has in Nigeria, it's still a low number. You know, they are not testing like 2,000 a day or 2,000 per hour.
So I have a question for the Queen.
People are not coming out too.
People are not coming out. Yeah.
I have a question for the Queen.
Okay.
Because all of us are quarantined now. You can't go nowhere. How are the women making? Because now we know the women that are ugly and the ones that are beautiful. Because they are running out of makeup. I do not know how the Queen keeps looking this good every weekend.
Today.
Okay, see, that is a serious question.
Let me tell you.
That is a very serious question.
We all know that this thing is coming. And we were alerted. So get prepared. People ran out there to get everything they needed in the house. So you can't neglect the important
including the makeup.
Not simple at this time that you have your husband will be in the house with you. You gotta look good.
That's right.
So you have to do the needing. So when you are shopping for food and everything, don't forget to take care of ourselves. That's it.
Okay, so that means you have enough cosmetics to last for 3 months.
Queen, sure, yes.
Queen, I'll help you out. Some of the men haven't had haircuts in a while, so some of the men are starting to look scruffy too.
In fact, many of us have not had haircuts.
We're not going to mention names here, but we know some people need grooming. That's all.
Actually, technology is good.
You're right. We're not going to mention names, but there are some pictures we are not seeing too. So we're not going to mention names.
Technology is good, so we have options.
So this is what I want to put to the doctors, and any of you can answer this. Technology has come a long way, but I think medicine has not really caught up. When I say medicine, in terms of creating a vaccine, it has to catch up. I know it's so many steps to come out with a vaccine that is, that works for everybody. But I think at this point now, with this COVID-19, we have to come up with some kind of emergency step. We have to skip some steps or skip some things to be able to get to this, because we're talking about 18 months to get a vaccine, or we're talking about 12 months to get a vaccine. People are.
I would like to respond to that.
Yes.
I'd like to respond to that. We are talking about drug testing and the testing of, vaccines specifically for the COVID-19. And I'm glad you mentioned 18 months, within which, that's the time point, that's the time that we're expecting that the vaccine will be ready. Vaccine trials are very, very complex trials, and there are lots of processes. The fact is that any trial or trials that involve human subjects, there are a lot of things that come into play. The safety of human subjects, the privacy, the protection, and the validity of the data from the studies. All of this come into play, of course. And so you have a myriad of regulatory bodies that have been set up to ensure that, these things are not breached, to ensure that the data that we are submitting to the FDA or whatever authority that's out there for approval is valid enough to support these vaccines going to the market. Because the last thing you want is to rush a trial, send the drug to the market. As a matter of fact, there have been drugs that have been withdrawn from the market. One of them that was withdrawn recently is Zantac. I'm not going to mention the pharmaceutical company. Zantac has been known is a drug that we commonly, they use for what do you call it? Like, is it GERD? But they have to withdraw it from the market because they noticed that this drug was causing what you call cancer of the stomach, gastric cancer. So, and there are other drugs too that have been withdrawn from the market. Pharma companies don't want to spend all that money, rush through the process, send the vaccine out there, and they don't want the FDA to audit the trial and end up bringing out or withdrawing this drug from the market. It costs billions of dollars millions of dollars to get a drug to the market. And so currently, with regards to the COVID-19, they are expedited trials. They have expedited the process. They've expedited IRB approvals, what they call institutional review boards approvals.
Okay.
Those boards are necessary to ensure that human subject protection is in place. Again, like I said, vaccine trials are complex. The protocols are pretty difficult. it's not as easy as it is out there. There are a lot of steps to follow. There are a lot in the days, back in the days, and maybe in another program we'll talk about one very infamous trial known as the Tuskegee trial. Tuskegee. Yes. The Tuskegee trial was a trial that happened way back in 1932. They were using African Americans, and it was a test for a drug that would cure syphilis. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of problems with that trial, and I'm not going to go into there were a lot of ethical issues with that trial, ranging from the absence of an informed consent. They didn't even tell the men that they were being treated for syphilis. They were using them as guinea pigs. It was a very horrible, history. Time in our history. But to cut the long story short, so we can give room for us to speak on this as well. What I'm trying to say is that after those times back in the processes that are involved in clinical trials had to be, they had to put a lot of checks in place to ensure that humans are protected. And then they have to, so the vaccine that we're expecting for this I'm not going to say that it's going to come out in the next 8 months or 10 months or 12 months, because it's important for us to ensure that when the vaccine eventually comes out, it is the right vaccine, that is going to be effective, it's going to be safe, and it's going to be able to, meet the end point and produce the results that we are expecting. So, and then if we get a vaccine in the next 18 months or 20 months, that is one of the best we can go. Some trials go as far as 3-4 years, even more than that. Unfortunately, we cannot really shorten it, Yeah, go ahead.
So, and most of these diseases are not new to human. So they are not new to human. Is it possible I know that the virus will replicate itself. Is it possible to have something in place temporary prior to this thing infecting people, like the flu shots?
Right.
The flu shots, we know next year we're going to get flu shots. It's not going to be the same one like we got this year. They're going to project that it's going to be like this and be like this. Some of these diseases and some of these viruses, we know they exist. Is it possible for us to have something temporary, at least working, just in case we have an outbreak, like an antidote, in case we have an outbreak?
So many of the advanced countries, like this country that we live in, it's really very advanced. One of the best countries, in fact, the best country in the world. I've been to a lot of places, but this US, they think they are like 10 steps ahead. There's a center called the National Institute of Health, NIH. That's what they do. Okay. They are looking at the future. What could be, and that was. If you've been following social media, you see that people have been accusing Bill Gates of predicting this virus because he's privy to what has been going on in the background. I'm privy to those knowledges. I know that people are looking at these diseases that might actually break out in 2050, 2060, and they're actually working to prepare for this virus. It's like this coronavirus that is just coming out. People know that coronavirus mutates. So they've been banking, working, generating vaccines, treatment, and storing, so that they could pick up from there. So they call that the bench-side research. That's what they call bench-side research. So we'll go to work, we begin to project. How will this virus mutate in the next 20 years? We look at the pattern and we begin to say, okay, if it does this, what are we going to do? If it does this, what are we going to do? It is based off on those archives of vaccines. That is how they've actually been able to bring the vaccine production for this coronavirus to this stage where it is. If not, we would have still been at the bench side. Remember, like my brother said, these things are expensive. They require me and you time, someone to sit down to actually play with this poisonous vaccine. Imagine me picking up a piece of this vaccine that I'm so scared of, putting it on a petri dish and begin to look at it under my microscope. It takes guts. It takes real gut to do that, no matter how much I'm prepared. Now, it also takes a pharmaceutical company so much gut for investment. Remember, these things are also investments. They're just AstraZeneca will not just wake up and sponsor vaccine. Why? What is he going to gain for spending 10 billions? So he will look at my proposal and say, what Dr. Eddie is talking about, is he going to give us money? Can we try it? No, it's not going to give us money. They wave it off. And they go to already existing patents. So, and that's why you see that governments are the ones that are now coming in, because government wants to protect the people. The pharmaceutical companies want to protect the people, but they also want to make money. Right.
Sure. And to add to what you just said, one of the things I would like to just very quickly, I would like to just add something very quickly. When it comes specifically to antiviral agents. Let's look at what happened with the HIV virus. The viruses tends to cause very, very severe and serious illnesses. Is it Ebola? Is it hepatitis B, C? Is it HIV? Is it COVID? Or even the influenza? So you can't really, and then of course, like we've talked about replication and the way these viruses change and mutate once they're in the human body, the host. That's why it's not easy to come up with a cure for HIV. Why? Because when you're preparing a vaccine, there are a couple of epitopes and things you're looking at for that vaccine to be prepared. If the virus does not, if you have 1,000 viruses that have different 1,000 epitopes or 1,000 genomic makeups, if you make one vaccine for virus A, that vaccine is not going to be effective against virus B, and then you can have 10,000 or 100,000 strains, different strains of poisonous, of the virus that cause very serious illness. Why are you going to sponsor the production of 100,000 different vaccines? It's practically impossible. It's so difficult. So they have to do a lot of what they call preclinical tests to ensure to see the pattern and how these viruses change before they can actually start investing money. Like my brother said, these things are expensive. The smart companies are also playing with their finances. They don't want to put their hand into something that will not work or will not go to the market. Or for some reason, the FDA does not approve their pre-market submission. If they don't approve them, that's a huge loss.
They've lost a lot of money. Yeah,
that's a huge loss. They don't want to do it, so they're also very careful. You and I cannot sponsor these trials, and that's why the trials cannot happen in Africa, for example, because the infrastructure is not there, the money is not there. It's expensive to run clinical trials, so they are just dangling and playing with it.
I also want to say that this COVID-19 is not just about vaccines alone. Vaccines is just one aspect of treating it. There are also people looking at drugs, therapeutic drugs. There are people looking at community prevention. So when they say research is going on, research is not only about how do we get the vaccines, what do we do to treat it? There are people looking at these recommendations that we're talking about. Remember, we say don't touch your nose. Why did we say don't touch your nose? There are people looking at this preventive mechanisms. There are people looking at, okay, what could we have done retrospectively? They call it retrospective research, right? Looking at what did we do wrong? People looking at those archives. So then there are people looking at prospect. So it's like a spectrum. At every stage, there's people working at different things. I am working at a particular stage as I'm talking with you. So I'm doing something I cannot begin to talk on the air. But eventually, everybody is working like a team. You submit your data, they submit their data. Eventually, someday, hopefully, God's going to help us. Someday.
Amen. I'd like to go to the Queen on a lighter tone because all this COVID-19 business can make us, unhappy. I'd like to keep us smiling. I'd like the Queen to tell us the reason why our chief host is not here today.
Wow.
I didn't notice
he wasn't here.
It seems like she knows something the rest of us don't know.
Oh, Mr. Charles, you believe so you can say that. Anyway, today is a birthday of the chief host, and he's having serious fun in his house.
Oh man!
Where is he now? In Florida?
Yeah, like the sort of fun.
At the beach. So that is the last thing he would do. He won't want to Florida. He would rather stay in his house.
Okay.
So to go to Florida. So today,
I hope it's
today actually is his birthday, and he's having fun in his house, and he's saying, okay, today, let me just stay today to be with my family.
That's good.
All through today and enjoy myself. We actually miss him. I had a brief discussion with him this morning, just for us to, talk about himself and his long journey towards making it in America, back home and stuff like that. I recorded it, but he didn't know about that. I was just talking to him, he was talking, so I recorded him. But he has a friend in the house, Mr. Charles. Please, can you tell us a little about your friend, Mr. Adodo?
Oh, Dave. I call him Dave, Mr. Adodo. Happy birthday to you, bro, man. I know I have not really, I know we'll talk, but I think I'm probably among everybody here. He has in-law. His in-law is here. But I know that the in-law is probably a little bit younger than me in terms of, when I knew Dave. I think came to meet him first, I believe, in 1987. People will not believe this. Because right now, we're all in our 50s. So 20 years back, 32 years back now that I know Dave, I was walking. I remember exactly what I was doing. And that was down in Landover. Okay. I was walking in one of the, I think the gas station there. I was in school at that time. It's a Shell gas station. And next to this Shell gas station, it's a small building. I believe it's about maybe either 15 by 15 or something like that, 20 by 20. And, you know, I noticed today somebody came down with some people, I believe, either really or people that he bought the building from or something. They took a look and then walk around. I from where I was walking, I saw that's an I didn't even know if it's Nigeria, but I know these African guys. And then the next day or 2 or 3 days later came this delivery, this machine. Can you imagine that Dave bought a machine for his company that couldn't go through the door of that door? I mean, I was like, what is
what a record.
Around, they couldn't it has this wide like CVS door, but that machine could not get into that building. You know, it was so funny. Ask me what they did. They took the roof off.
Oh, interesting.
The roof off.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, that's how we really. Yeah, they took the roof off to get this machine inside this small store building where he started his business. You know, he's smoking the Dave Seafood. You know, but very nice guy, Dave. You know, why I say this is we are not really friends, but I think at the end of these 5 minutes or so, you see why Dave is like a brother to me, or I'm like a brother to him too. You know, everybody knows he's from Edo State, Owa, one of the villages down there. Dave, just like I don't know about most of you guys here, but for me, I know my parents did very well for us, but I still consider myself as being poor, born poor, but I was raised. I mean, I grew up rich because I grew up outside what my family, what my dad has. I was, you know, hanging out with rich people. But Dave himself, we know him very well. He was the only son, I believe, to the mom. But the mother remarried after him and then have other children. So personally, I think the kind of person he is, he probably doesn't feel that he has enough brother and enough siblings. And that's why when we met, you know, it kind of clicked very well since 1987. We've been so close. We've been doing so many things together. Most of the things we do financially, he takes care of it. So, hey, we're going to get that out of the way, though. He's
a big boy. He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a big boy. So he's a big boy. Everything, you know, we do things very close. And when I mean very, very close, I know a lot of people will be watching this. I'm not going to come here and put up everything that we do out here. But Dave is just since 1987, up to date, you know, we've been so close. It's unbelievable. He's always there for me. I'm always there for him. I can say that. He can say that. But he has always been there for me. I know everything about him, more than he knows himself. You know.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And people will be, what do you say? Yeah, I know Dave more than he knows me. And that's the kind of person I am. I usually know people more better than they know me. You know, he's a very nice guy, very hardworking. Dave used to be shy, but he's coming out of it gradually. I don't know if anybody of you noticed. It's not one of those guys that, you know, likes to.
Yeah, Mr. Charles.
He's not one of those guys that likes to show off. Okay.
I know you're going to talk about Dave till tomorrow morning, but let's take it back from the time.
It's not one of those. Just like I said, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. It's not one of those guys that is, you know. He's a kind of a shy person. You know, he has his own problems. One of his problems is he likes clothes. Dave, like, oh my God. He likes to dress like unbelievable. You know, he likes to look sharp. That's something about him. But he's a very humble guy when you know him. And I remember one thing you see, that's that thing I go back to say that I know people. When I met Dave in 80s and 90s, when we were talking, I said, Dave, listen. I know we're all in this country, but I'm seeing you as somebody, I don't know whether it's God calling or whatever, you are the kind of person that a village needs to come back and help. And they was, leave me alone, Nigeria, blah, blah, blah. And the reason he was saying that he has done a lot of things back while he was here with his family for one reason or the other. Nigerians weren't, the things that he keep doing in Nigeria is not working. I remember here, we used to, anybody going home, Dave will buy books for the school that he doesn't even know where the school is. We'll buy, because I used to go out and buy those things with him. Like I said, most of the things, it's not bragging. Most, 80% of what Dave have bought in life, I'm involved with it. But he's the one that pays for everything, I remember I used to buy, what is it that you used to carry a bag, book bags or whatever you call it, pencils, everything for the school that he has never seen because it's been a while. I don't think he went home until his parents and the wife's parents start passing away. And then they don't know him there. But they don't, people that know him kind of forget because it's been a while he left. Jackie, he has a guy named, they call him down in the village. Boogie Jackie or something like that.
Dr. Francis, tell us your experience with...
But he was here helping the schools, the village, the chiefs, and all that. While he was here, haven't been home for a while. And I keep telling Dave, he said, "Oh, Charles, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here in Nigeria, America." I said, "Hey, someday." This is what I've been telling him since 20 years ago. He said, "No, I'm not. No." But now, look at what is going on in his village. He's been doing a lot for them, and people keep praying for him. I was there in January. Everybody was just talking about him. Where is he? When is he coming back? We need him. Things like that. But that's the kind of person he is. You can imagine where he left for a long time. As he was in 20s when he left. After all the sufferings that he went through in Nigeria, growing up. But we all went through that. But his own is that he was so hardworking more than anybody else. Even up to today. And you guys know him. He's a workaholic or whatever you call it. He works so much. But, thank God his children are taking care of the billion-dollar businesses now that he has. He hasn't slowed down yet, but he's taking it easy. But Dave is I couldn't imagine having any other person like a brother, man. He's very humble, very nice. We all have our own problems, nobody's perfect. He has, the only thing that, one thing about him is perfection. Perfection is a problem with Dave. He wants everything, but he is down to the core, and then we disagree at some point at that, but he likes things to be very well perfected, and he works so hard. I don't blame him. That's his own personal opinion and the way that he does things. But to some people, they'll say, "Oh, you work too hard. You want to do this." But no, he's the kind of person he is. And whenever he wants to do something, trust me. He thinks about it. It's just about this radio station. I know how we started about this, talking. And then at some point, I wanted to discourage him. And the reason is that there was so much going on. From my own side. But the way he's saying it, something he got to do. And, look at where we are today, So, bro, I'm not going to say a whole lot. I don't want to keep... A lot of people want to say something about it because you are in-laws here. You are in-laws here. I know...
I like the last thing said.
Happy birthday, bro. Happy birthday.
I am so glad that you are not a reverend. That you are not a priest or a reverend father, because the church will never close.
Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
You gotta write a book.
I'm very considerate. I remember the guys on the ground, so I remember.
Yes, so let's have the doctors say one or two things about the host, because we're running out of time.
Dr. Francis first. Dr. Francis first, because that's a real in-law.
Yes.
I wonder what now, Queen, you're taking it out of my mouth. Everyone wants me to speak. Okay. You know what I say, Mr. Dave. First of all, he gave me a beautiful wife, and who gave me beautiful children. So he allowed me to marry his daughter. That's the first thing I would like to start with, saying that. And the saying that you can never repay your in-laws. And by virtue of the relationship, by virtue of my marrying her, his daughter, he's my father-in-law, and it's really a pleasure to have him as my father-in-law. Now, drilling down to know him personally, I mean, Mr. Charles said quite a number of things. Even though he went back to 1987 when I was like probably very small, I just, but some of the things he said are things I can reckon with, I can agree to very clearly because I've also experienced the same thing. My father-in-law is just, I respect his work ethic. I respect the man he is when it comes to work. I respect the way he thinks, what motivates him as a man. I'm learning a lot from a man that has a man. Then he has a big heart. Oh, greatness. This man has a big heart. And I respect him for that. I celebrate him for that. So, so many things to speak of. When he came for my wedding, he supported me 100% as any father-in-law would. And I remain very grateful to him. Since I've been here, we've been parlaying. The relationship between myself and him has been just, if there's anything more than cordial, And back to what I said about his work ethic. This is a man that used to drive from Maryland to Texas to go and deliver goods because he needed to build his business. What can be more than that? I mean, I'm sitting in this country that is like this. I respect him for who he is. Today I celebrate him. I know we're almost out of time. I celebrate him for who he is. I celebrate him for his mindset, his philanthropy. He's just about everything about him. And of course, for this wonderful session, he has given us a platform to come here to share this, discuss things and reach out to people. So I don't know. Mr. Dave, you're loved. I respect you. I love you as my father-in-law. Thank you for the beautiful wife you gave to me. And thank you for always being there for me. We talk like pals. You won't even know it's my father-in-law because we talk like some kind of...
You have to come and bring more. You have to come and bring more money again, bro.
More money.
So let's hear from the other doctor.
I call Mr. Dave my father. That's who I call him. He sits me down and we talk like brothers and sisters, but he's my father. When I was married, he gave me a Lamborghini. Winged Lamborghini like this. I was like, whoa. He's a big boy. No, Mr. Dave is a big boy. He's always encouraging you. He doesn't talk you down. He doesn't see you like you're a beginner in life. He brings you to his level and say, hey, Arab Bunny, what's going on? What plans do you have? Trying to make you work hard. He's pushed me so much in this life. He has a big heart. He's a giver. He's a man. He's a man I respect so much. My father loves him like his brother, say, hey, have you talked to your father today? Yeah, I spoke with him. It's a good man. Very good man. Very, very good man. I wish him all the best. I wish him long life and happiness in everything he does. And I'll keep praying for him and I'll keep supporting him. As long as I keep making this money that I'm making, I'll keep supporting him. Yeah. Even when I don't make the money, I'll still support him.
Amen. So, Queen, it's up to you now. What you have to say about Mr. David? Oh, Queen, you're muted.
You're mute.
Queen, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Yeah, unmute yourself, Queen. She's not hearing to you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
All right. I actually met him through a young friend of mine that were in the same profession together. And he came there to that very day to share his story. And that was how we met. And I said, I would like to interview you to have you, profile you in my magazine. And he said, no problem. So since then we'll be friends. Before, even when he was planning this radio station, he contacted me and I said, okay, no problem. I'll be part of it. I have experience in it. He's such a humble and very passionate person. You discuss with him, this is what I want to do. He's ready to support you. He's ready to give you his own pure and true advice on whatever you want to do. And that's how, okay, I said, today we're going to celebrate you. That's not the fact that there is COVID-19. We're still going to come into your house when it's ended to come and have my own share of the cake. I actually recorded him this morning. We have little time. I would like to play a little of it. Maybe before they say something. I just hope he's going to clear. He didn't know, actually. I just put him on it. So...
you have your earpiece. I don't know.
Yeah.
You have your earpiece will not let that play.
So anyway, we cannot hear the recording, Queen, and we're almost running out of time. But anyway, I would like to say, my own good things about Mr. Dave. Everybody said good things about this guy. So I was wondering, who is Mr. David? Who is Mr. David? Mr. David and I met a long time ago. I was emceeing a party. Even prior to emceeing that party, I knew him, and he also knew me. He came to that party and he laughed and laughed and laughed. At the end of the party, he said, "Look, you're my MC any day, anytime." And so we started, I call him Bros. Say Bros. I relate to him like he's my, older brother. Like we're from the same home, from the same family. He relates to me back like I'm a younger one. When I don't do well, he calls me, "Hey, oh boy, come here. What's wrong with you?" And when he does something I don't like, I call him back. I say, "Bros, it's not happening, no." So we go back and forth like that. But what I've noticed about him is that he's very, very humble. It's a very humble man. It takes a man in his position to be humble for him to know that I did something wrong, and for him to tell you he will apologize to you, regardless of your age or where your spectrum is in society. He will apologize to you. It takes a man to be humble, to be able to do that. And I bless God. I thank God for his life. I thank God for all the blessings and for all the good things that he has done and that he will continue to do. And I thank God for everything, every life that he has touched, every life that knows him and does not know him. I thank God for it. And I pray that God will continue to give him long life, make him prosperous, because when he becomes prosperous, we also become prosperous. So I thank God for everything. Thank you so much, Mr. Dave, for this platform, for this opportunity, for this avenue, for meeting these doctors, for meeting all these things. These are things that you have done. You've touched everybody's life individually at some point or the other, whether we like it or not. I didn't know these doctors. I didn't know Mr. Charles. I didn't know the Queen. You
Mr. Charles is a great. Mr. Charles is a good guy.
Thank you so much. So, just before we go, I would like for the Queen to mention our sponsors, because we have to always mention our sponsors on every show because they keep us going. So, Queen, please, the last 2 minutes.
Okay, Dave Seafood and Poultry, fortunately, is owned by David Adodo. He's the sponsor of the program from the beginning. Very massive party. You need to visit the place. It's smoked turkey, fish of any kind. So Dave Seafood, we thank you so very much. Afrique International, thank you so much. Heritage International, you guys are there every time. And Randosa International Market, we thank you. We say thank you to all of you. And if you want to be part of this sponsor of this program, African Voices, give us a call on 202-913-8659. We still need more sponsors. Mr. Dave cannot do it alone, and other people. And, doctors, you guys can be part of it as well. Get sponsors for us. Thank you so very much, our sponsor. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate every one of you.
So real quick, I'd like us to say our goodbyes until next week, starting with Dr. Francis.
Well, listeners, I especially thank all of you for the time you spent listening and being a part of this show. Thank you so very much for all of you out there. We're in this together, and let's just keep it together, and I believe we will all come out of this together. So stay safe out there and take care of yourself. And see you next time. It's bye from Dr. Francis Okobi.
Hey, for me, I'll just say, everything that has a beginning will have an end. Just make sure that you're alive until the end. So there are things that you can do to keep yourself alive. There's what we call modifiable and non-modifiable factor. The things that you can do to keep yourself alive, do them. Don't bother yourself about the things that you cannot do about it. So the things that you can do health-wise, do it. And we're going to see ourselves at the other end of the inferno. Stay safe.
Mr. Charles.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening today. And please, don't be a hero. I'm so glad our doctors are here. Let's listen to those that knows what's going on. Again, thanks for listening for today. And then we'll see you on next week. My name is Charles. Happy birthday to you, Dave.
The Queen.
Thank you so very much. We say thank you to all our listeners. We say thank you to the staff of Praise FM 106.1. Thank you, Mr. Jason, for always being there for us. You did a very great job for us. Thank you so much. And for people out there, please stay safe. Take the necessary precaution. We don't have a choice than to go out to get one or two things. And for the people that are still working, we say God bless your heart. And be safe. Like Doctor said, we all see ourselves at the other side, when there's always a bright light at the end of the tunnel. God will save each and every one of us. For those people that lost their lives, we say God will forgive them.
Mr. Jason.
Thank you.
All right, so we're rounding up today. Thank you so much to all our listeners. Once again, tune in next week, 106.1 FM, African Voices Radio. It's David Adodo Show. Thank you all. Once again, my name is Tunde Phillips. You all have a great week. Bye-bye.
Mr. Jason, thanks for always being there.
WLIF HD2 Baltimore.
The all-new Praise 106.1, giving our city just what we need right now. Baltimore's inspiration station. Praise 106.1.
From the Big Al Studio, Baltimore's #1 accident attorney.
Big Al would like to extend a sincere, heartfelt message to Marylanders during this scary season. Everyone, stay safe and stay home, and eventually we will all get through this. Now, if you find yourself in an auto accident during these times, don't worry, my guy Big Al's got you covered. Big Al is someone you can trust in these times of uncertainty. So remember, when in an accident, call your friend Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. Big Al is the law firm of Richard Klein.
Prepare to be encouraged, empowered, and ridiculously blessed by the Ministry in the Marketplace show, hosted by Elder Michael Davis at 8:30 a.m. every Saturday morning on Praise 106.1 FM. Learn that you have not just been employed, but that you have been deployed in that business, ministry, or organization for such a time as this. Maximize it for the glory of God. You have a purpose, and it's not just to go to work, pay bills, and die. Live out your purpose today. Keep using your gifts, talents, and abilities for the glory of God, and tune in this Saturday, 8:30 a.m. for the Ministry in the Marketplace show, hosted by Elder Michael Davis. For more information or to reach him down.
Hi, this is Kathy Hughes. If you're enjoying Praise 106.1, please like us on Facebook.
If you care by the grace of God, let me see you clap those hands. Oh, clap those hands. Ooh, clap those hands. If you care by the grace of God, let me see you clap those hands. Oh, clap those hands. Ooh, clap those hands. If you care by the grace of God, let me see you clap those hands. Oh, clap those hands. Come on and clap those